Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, right now I'm on my way to the rec center. Just gonna do a little cardio and then jump in the sauna for probably 40-45 minutes. And yeah, that'll be what today's about. Not every training day or recovery day do you need to go absolutely hard in the paint, but weekends are usually my days where I'll typically do some cardio, hop in the sauna, maybe swim, just do something different. But anyway, just some random thoughts. Driving's just one of those times where I just am able to get away from everything and think. Just got some random stuff from the week. So anyway, something I was doing last weekend was I was landscaping and just wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow of mulch, and it stopped me for a second because I thought about it. And 10 years ago, there's been a ton happen in 10 years, and if you rewind the clock 10 years ago, I would have been 28 years old, and I had actually just got fired from a job, and I was scrambling to find a job right away because bills still had to get paid. It's one of those things where I still had stuff that I needed to pay for, things I had to do, and anyway, so I got fired. I still remember calling my wife on the way home, and I was like, hey, here's what happened. This really sucks. And, I was pretty pissed and was very unfair because it's turns out this company that had fired me had done the exact same thing to about 15 or 16 other people prior to the, initial probationary period. So really shady, but, shit happens and you push on. But anyway, so I got fired, and I made a phone call and was like, hey, I need to find a job right away. And my sister put me in touch with a guy from her church who owned a landscaping company, and the next day I was landscaping. And it was just one of those moments where I think I did landscaping for, 3 or 4 months, and then hopped to another job, then hopped to another job. And then, when I was in that process of hopping from, job to job that was not coaching. I mean, I was still coaching on the side, but when I was hopping from job to job, there's better pay, better opportunities, better pay, better opportunities. I truly thought that I was just never going to get back into coaching completely, like full time. I just thought it was done. I was like, oh man, all right, this sucks, so whatever. Well, it's kind of funny because if you were to follow the exact timeline, if I laid out everything that's happened in that 10-year chunk, it reminds me of a quote from Tony Robbins where he says that people underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years and overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year. So anyway, what all has happened since then, right? So here's just a few things. So since then, I moved back to Kansas. A buddy and I opened a very successful sport performance gym, and it's still there. It's still crushing it. And then from there, got a tremendous opportunity with the military to work with special operations. Still doing that, and now I'm finishing up year number 1 of my PhD program, and my new business, Dynamic Human Performance, is got some opportunities that have come along that I never would have guessed 10 years ago if you would have asked me. And speaking engagements, agencies hiring me to come present and talk to their groups about training and health and performance and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, I'd encourage you to take pause and think back, what's happened over the previous 3, 5, 10 years. But yeah, it's really one of those things that kind of shocking how far you can come if you just keep plugging away day after day and just keep putting in the work, keep making your I think of it like daily deposits. Keep putting your daily deposit down, and your investment is another way to think about it. So anyway, kind of along those same lines, now that I have 2 kids, I've currently 10 and 6, and I go to these little events that my kids have. I see some of the other dads there, and it's kind of heartbreaking because I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I see some of the other dads that are there, and they have 38, 40, 42 inch waists and big beer guts, and they totally neglect their own health. And it's heartbreaking because by them not prioritizing their health, they're putting their family at risk. And it's never too late to start. It's definitely not. They could start tomorrow and would be just fine, as long as they continue to show up, make a couple tweaks here and there with dietary choices. I mean, like I tell people all the time, if you get the protein intake correct, get some adequate amounts of fiber in your diet, and you get adequate amounts of water, that's going to solve a lot of problems and prevent a lot of issues from coming up in the first place. But it's really not this huge time commitment that everybody thinks. I get a lot of very high quality workouts done in under an hour, and I prioritize that in some capacity every day of the week. And sometimes it's only 20 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, and I foam roll and stretch or whatever, and then feel a little bit better and move around. Other days I have a full hour where I can really devote to training. But I'd encourage you to start somewhere, start with something, and then just prioritize or block off that time for yourself. More importantly, for the loved ones who rely on you, who you are, they're dependent on you, right? So the other final point that I heard like 3 times this past week is people who are just getting into training, which is great. I'm super happy that there are people who are realizing and understanding the importance of taking care of themselves, both for short-term and long-term. They're prioritizing their training, their health. They're actually evaluating their health, performance metrics. They're looking at their blood work. They realize that they need to fix some things, and that's all well and good. That's awesome. But one of the things I always get a kick out of, and I don't know if it's just people hear other people say this stuff, but they'll go, well, I don't want to get too big, which always makes me chuckle because it's really hard to get too big. I mean, you got to do a lot of things correct for years and years and years, and then you have to the amount of things that you have to do at an extremely high level over time is just outrageous to get too big. And then if the too big that they're probably referring to is professional level bodybuilders who are probably they are on some sort of PED, performance enhancing drug, or stack of PEDs. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, the other thing I hear is people say that, well, I don't want to see the need to throw around heavy weights anymore. And I always stop people on that one for sure, because strength is the most important metric that we need to prioritize, because everything hinges on strength. I mean, everything from speed, power, balance, all that stuff is built on strength. Now, you can certainly make an argument for, along those same lines, you could say that, endurance or VO2 max stuff is important, absolutely. But I would say of equal importance is going to be strength, because as people age, we want to think of raising the ceiling, so to speak. We want to raise the ceiling as much as possible by being as strong as possible with as much endurance as possible as people head into aging. And the reason for that is we know that people are going to lose or see drop-offs in testosterone levels and certain amounts of muscle mass and things of that nature. So the higher levels of strength and endurance that they have heading into aging, the better quality and the better outcomes they're going to have leading into later life. And also, by prioritizing strength, we know that we're going to help prevent any kind of bone loss, because I see people far too often who have started to have the they've started to have the issues of osteopenia, which left untreated will lead to osteoporosis and various other issues. And unfortunately, with that stuff, like, again, it's never too late to start, but again, with that stuff, the earlier you can start, the better. The sooner you can get a jump on it, so that your bone is going to go through that remodeling process, that remineralization process, the better. So I'd encourage you to do something today. It doesn't really matter what you start with, it just matters that you start, so that you can get in the habit of training in some capacity. So what I do is focus on strength 3 to 4 days a week. Then the other days of the week is prioritized cardiovascular development. So I just alternate between the two. And then some great resources to get you started for strength work. Starting strength is a great place to start. Jim Wendler's 5-3-1 is tremendously simple. Any kind of 5x5. Those are all really, really good places to start from the strength standpoint. From cardiovascular standpoint, I recommend checking out Joel Jamieson. I have his book, Ultimate MMA Conditioning. Even if you're not an MMA fighter, it still applies because you're a human being. So anyway, check that out. Anything from Dr. Andy Galpin, Dr. Peter Attia is really getting on this stuff and putting out a great message overall. So that'd be my advice to you. Check it out. Get started today, because you got people who depend on you. All right. Have a good day.